Today, Joe Biden announces 6 executive actions on guns. We will tell you all you need to know. Don't change the channel. It starts right now.
Let's tell about half of what they need to know.
Just the half?
Okay. All of it's too much. We don't have enough time on this podcast.
Yeah, there's nowhere.
Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, obviously joined by Stu Burguiere of Stu Does America, Pat Gray of Pat Gray Unleashed, and because it's Pat and Stu Thursday.
Yeah, we should really do this on Tuesday to make it Pat and Tuesday.
Patent.
Oh, yeah.
It would make it much better,
That
but
would.
we didn't think it out. So it's not going to happen.
That would not be the first thing in our lives that we did not think out. But hey, it could be worse. We could be Hunter Biden. So let's go through the executive actions on guns that Joe Biden announced today. I know I heard you guys talking about them when you were on Glenn Radio. So I have a feeling of what your take is on them. But let's listen to Joe Biden in his own words. There's 6 executive actions. He says that there is a gun violence public health epidemic facing America. He said that he wanted to bring regulations for what he called ghost guns. Here is Joe Biden on ghost guns.
Want to rein in the proliferation of so-called ghost guns. These are guns that are homemade, built from a kit, that include directions on how to finish the firearm. You can go buy the kit. They have no serial numbers, so when they show up at a crime scene, they can't be traced. And the buyers aren't required to pass a background check to buy the kit, to make the gun. Consequently, anyone from a criminal to a terrorist can buy this kit in as little as 30 minutes, put together a weapon.
And then, gentlemen, I want to get your thoughts on that. But let me play also one of the other actions that Joe Biden is taking is commissioning the DOJ to issue a rule to make clear when a device marketed as a stabilizing brace effectively turns a pistol into a short-barreled rifle. Here is Joe Biden on that.
We want to treat pistols modified with stabilizing braces with the seriousness they deserve. A stabilizing brace hook on a pencil essentially makes that pistol a hell of a lot more accurate than a mini rifle. As a result, it's more lethal.
Is he
effectively
holding a
turning it into a short-barreled rifle.
He was holding one of the ghost invisible guns.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
They're
That's
really
frightening
deadly.
what happened there. Because he was actually like making a pointing gun motion, which
you just did as well.
Which I just did as well.
You're flagging me,
Fortunately,
dude.
I didn't aim it at you.
Okay.
Sarah's aiming it at the camera over there. But that was a level 2 lookalike firearm, what he just did.
Which you can get suspended from school.
Yes, you can.
For, at least we know.
The ultimate ghost gun. A lookalike firearm.
So what are your thoughts on that? I know he had a couple other, he had red flag legislation that he wants to push through as well.
I mean, there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to go into all of it tonight on Stu Does America. And try to go through
I
this.
appreciate you using this show as just a promotion for your show, where you're going to tell us more, because I'm asking you about it now.
Well, I know. I'm going to tell you what I think now, but as you said, we were only going through a couple of them. I'm just trying to say, we're going to try to do more on it tonight. I mean, people like their guns. They probably want to keep them. They have a constitutional right to keep them. Maybe they should be able to keep them.
Or maybe they accidentally lost them in a horrible
terrible
accident.
boating accident, as we all have, unfortunately. So, ghost guns. I mean, look, it's the type of thing that the left and the media loves because it sounds really scary and it's this really, oh my gosh, ghost guns, terrorists are getting these all over the place. In reality, it's a very small percentage of guns in the United States. If a criminal wants to get guns, they can get it. We have an open border that the left seems to love, where guns flow over it all the time. Criminals are able to get guns. Mostly, they get them from theft. It's really where they get them most often, or
President
from the black
Obama.
market, or President Obama.
Yeah.
So ghost guns. It's a lot of effort, right? I know they're saying yes. If you are a skilled technician, you could put these together. It's actually if you have some handy level, more handy than I am, but less handy than most people. You could put these things together, and they're not impossible to put together. You could see why the media would get on the hype train on this. in reality, very small percentage of gun deaths happen. There's been a couple of heightened incidents in the United States. A couple of major shootings in California were done with ghost guns several years ago. Of course, California has laws that should prevent them, in theory. So the laws already haven't worked on them, but let's all pretend like they're going to work on a federal level. And then the pistol grip thing is an interesting thing. Before my terrible boating accident in a very deep lake, I had one of these. And
really?
Basically, and it's like if you were to go in and ask for an AR-15 at a gun store, they might offer you one of these instead. It has the same kind of look and feel of that type of weapon, an evil assault weapon. However, it's technically classified as a pistol for whatever reason. I don't think. It's a longer barrel, I think, makes it more accurate. There are other things that make it more accurate. It's not necessarily this. However, they're comfortable to shoot. They're a good weapon. It's a good weapon. And bizarrely, the left has started to focus on accuracy of a weapon as a negative. If we have people have guns, we want them to shoot in the direction that they're pointing them. I understand that if a criminal gets on and is more accurate, they might take out more people. But the whole point of this is to be able to fire where you want to. If you're in a situation where you're being abused, domestic abuse, you want to shoot somebody because they're about to hit you or do something terrible to you, you want to be able to hit that person, right? You want it to fire in the direction in which you're pointing it. This is a basic
point of a gun.
Yeah, I mean, we could go to the point where we point it this way and it may shoot way up into the ceiling. I mean, I just don't feel like that's a good innovation. They act as if accuracy is a bad thing. Yeah. We want people firing at the thing they're firing at. Every once in a very long while, in very minority of cases, people do use them for terrible things. But we want the people who are law-abiding citizens to be able to use them as well and to use them to good effect.
Yeah. Pat, what are your thoughts?
Well, as usual, if you're willing to break the law to murder somebody, you're probably going to break the law that calls for no ghost guns.
Really? You think?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
Wait, but you're going to still put a serial number. You're going to request the serial number from the state.
No, you're not.
No?
No, you're not.
Because that's what you have to do, and people don't seem to be doing it.
I know.
Which is weird.
They don't do that.
No.
And yeah, if you're willing to shoot somebody, you're probably willing to go ahead and put together a ghost gun, even though you know you shouldn't.
Oh.
And so
sounds like you're stereotyping these people as criminals.
A little bit, maybe.
Are you?
But I think with good reason.
Yeah.
It's just so ineffective, and it makes no sense. None of this stuff makes any sense. What you're doing is you're just precluding people who have that kind of hobby, that put together guns because they love doing it, and there's no ill intent. They're not going to ever shoot anybody with it. They just like to do it as a hobby. You're just going to preclude them from doing that.
Right.
You're not going to stop any criminals from putting together ghost guns just because you said, no, I'm sorry, you can't. I've got an executive order now that says I can't do a ghost gun, so I'm not going to do a ghost gun.
Which, I mean, good thing, murder isn't on the books as a law.
Right. What if we did an executive order, though, that banned killing other people?
Ooh. I bet it would stop it.
It would.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
It's funny, as far as I understand, back in the day when they had the assault weapons ban, they were able to, and this is incredible, able to get a 100% ban on ghost guns back then, because they weren't really around. You couldn't really order anything on the internet back then. It took like 25 minutes for a picture to load, and also they didn't have any 3D printing. A lot of these things weren't really going on. So ghost guns a much smaller part of the puzzle. Yet murder rates were much higher in those times for some bizarre reason. It's almost as if you want to kill someone, you can find a gun to do it with. We have about 400 million guns in this country. Ghost guns, maybe there's 100,000 ghost guns, 1 million ghost guns. I don't know. What is it? It's certainly nowhere near 1% of the guns in this country.
No.
And if you go to actual incidents, it's probably much less. Now, there are some, gun groups that, of course, have the scare statistics about all these guns. They're finding the ghost guns and from criminals and such. And it may very well, at some level, be replacing the old school gun where they've filed off the serial number and bought it from a criminal. Like, some of that may be happening, though. Again, you have to hire someone with some sort of level of understanding of guns. I mean, you just don't think of the typical drug dealer and be like, you know what, I'm just going to go home and put together some guns tonight. Like, it's not really what's going on. It's just another. There has to be something. You know, it was bump stocks before. That was their justification last time. Do you believe these bump stocks exist? All this stuff's unconstitutional. It was unconstitutional when Trump did it. It's unconstitutional when Biden's trying to do it. It's all unconstitutional. Shall not infringe is really important. It's really clear, and we should probably follow it.
And by the way, just as a little blast from the past, here is what Biden said about he's giving advice about getting a shotgun, not an AR-15 in 2013. I'm not sure if this is the guy that we want to listen to when it comes to guns. Watch.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. Have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun, and I promise you, as I told my wife, we live in an area that's wooded and somewhat secluded. I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here, or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts outside the house. I promise you, who's ever coming in is not going to. You don't need an AR-15. It's harder to aim. It's harder to use. And in fact, you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself. Buy a shotgun.
I would just like to say, fact check, false. It is not. AR-15 is not harder to use than a shotgun. I mean, shotguns bruise the hell out of my shoulder, too. And the AR, well, I used to have one, but I don't want to talk about it. It gets me very upset. I did. Well, and then I had the hot air balloon accident. It was.
Oh my gosh, that was you.
Yeah, wow. I don't want to talk about it. It brings back really, really bad memories. But just shoot outside the door. Who knows what's out there? I don't know. Maybe shoot up in the sky. Who knows what'll happen?
Which, by the way, is illegal.
I don't think the bullets come back down. Yeah.
So maybe you don't want to do that?
No.
Maybe you don't want to just go outside and start firing your shotgun?
No.
Not a good idea. Really not a good idea.
And even if it was a good idea, you just told everyone that you were going to do it. So now it's really not going to work. And your doctor wife is in serious danger, apparently.
Thank you for pointing that out.
And she's a doctor, by the way. Do you guys know that? I want to make sure you call her Dr. Jill.
I should have said that. That was my bad. Let me get your thoughts on one of the other actions he said was his intention to nominate David Chipman to serve as the director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Obviously, this is a key agency in gun law enforcement, and this guy is a huge gun reform advocate. So it feels a lot like they're just very quietly working in the background. Maybe this is just kind of on paper, doesn't really translate into like hardcore gun reform, obviously not legislation, but it does feel like their intentions are being made here.
Yeah, I mean, everything that I've heard from people who care about the Second Amendment, I don't know this guy all that well, to be honest with you, but he's worked with Bloomberg, anti-Second Amendment groups. It's, they certainly would never take someone from the NRA or the Gun Owners of America and pop them.
He clearly, his intention is to limit guns.
Yes,
yeah.
And he's been an activist in this world. He's on record multiple times in the media saying things that are completely wrong about guns, including things about Waco and.
That was insane.
Yeah, he said they shot down 2 helicopters, if I'm remembering this right. It's been a while. But yeah, with 50 caliber guns, that did not happen. But if it did, it would have been bad, and I agree with him on that alternate reality. But I think that he seems like he aligns well with what they're trying to do, which is, look, take your guns. If they could take all of your guns, they would. The only thing limiting that is the Constitution and us, right? Like they keep saying, oh, they're not going to take all your guns. You're right. They're not going to take all our guns because we're not going to let them take all of our guns. Obviously, so many people have had boating accidents lately. I don't know if there's any guns left, but if there are any left that aren't at the bottom of lakes, I think that the Biden administration would take them. And so what this is his best effort to take as many as possible. That is what this is. He thinks he can get the ghost gun through because it sounds very foreign and exotic and scary. He thinks he can get the pistol thing done because it sounds like a loophole, even though it's not a loophole. Putting a handle on something is not a loophole. He talked about all sorts of different things throughout this, which are just straight out wrong. But it doesn't matter. All this is a PR effort to try to get as many guns as possible out of our hands, and as part of a longer-term effort to make sure all of them are out of our hands.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just the first step.
Right.
I mean, this is just a step in the direction that they're trying to go, and that's the next thing they're going to try to do. I would guess is to ban the assault weapons again. That's what they talked about.
Assault weapons,
Yeah.
which really is a meaningless term.
Yes, it is. But that's what he said during the campaign, and that's what he's going to try to do.
He did say that during the speech too. He seemed to be saying it was interesting because I think he got into office and realized how little he could do with this. You can't. He's got a Second Amendment. You can't really do a lot. It does, and so I think he's now trying to come up with things. One of his executive orders was legitimately come up with a law to recommend to states to pass as a red flag law. It's like, come up with the best practices essentially for passing these laws, and like that's not an exact. I mean, you still have to pass these things in the states.
Okay, so I know we're talking about like the ins and outs of the like actual executive order, but what I'd like to focus on is something way more important, which is Biden is looking more and more like the guy from the Muppets, the old man from the Muppets, every single day. Look at this. It's
incredible.
That's him. He's got the mouth thing. He's got the frowny face on the mouth. He's got the beady eyes. It's incredible.
It really is incredible. He is the same person.
Turning into the Muppet.
If that was our election right there, that side by side, I would vote for the Muppet guy. I don't know his policies, but they have to be better.
They got to be better. They got to be better. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, ExpressVPN. So in case you haven't noticed, social media and big tech are kind of doing this thing where they're bulldozing over all of our rights and freedoms. Yeah. And they're not going to stop until they've silenced all conservatives. So you guys are in luck. Now, you could just deactivate all of your social media accounts, but that would just be giving into what the left wants in the first place, right? So instead of letting big tech sites revoke your right to free speech, you got to revoke their right to your data. That is why we here at Blaze protect our online data by using ExpressVPN. So basically, all of these, Google, social media companies, all these companies are making money by tracking everything you do, your searches, your video history, everything you click on, and they are selling your data. So a lot of people are like, well, I don't do anything wrong on the internet. I don't look at porn. I don't do anything. I don't need something like ExpressVPN. Yes, you do, because they're selling all of your stuff, even if you are doing everything like totally just by the book. All right. You don't want them to sell your data. They're making money off of you by invading your privacy. So ExpressVPN is going to anonymize much of your online presence. They're going to hide your IP address. It's going to make your activity much more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. They encrypt 100% of your data, so you're not going to be eavesdropped on your own network. And it's very, very easy. It's not going to make any of your devices lag. You can get it on your computer, your phone, whatever you need to stay protected. You can get 3 months for free if you go to expressvpn.com/Y. It is an extra 3 months for free when you sign up at expressvpn.com/Y. Back in a minute. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Oh gosh, do you guys remember when she was running for president? That was cute. That was a good couple
days.
Weeks. Oh, couple weeks. Yeah.
I'm being more generous.
So she took the bold step of expanding the definition of infrastructure. But really, when you think about it, Democrats don't seem to really stick to actual definitions of words. They just want to expand all definitions to include whatever the hell they want it to mean at that particular time. And we were talking the last segment about gun control, common sense gun reform. That's all they want. It's just common sense gun reform. Well, Kirsten Gillibrand is here to tell you, they're talking about all of this infrastructure bill. She's here to tell you what infrastructure is. So she tweeted out, paid leave is infrastructure, childcare is infrastructure, caregiving is infrastructure. I mean, couldn't we go on?
Yes. Teddy bears are infrastructure.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
What about
stuffed animals
free
of
booze?
all kinds?
I think free booze is infrastructure.
Infrastructure?
Quite honestly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Wine?
Yeah.
It's infrastructure.
Yes.
This is part of the long-term Democratic plan that all words that they do are things that they agree with. So infrastructure is all the policies that they want because people like infrastructure. Everything they don't want, like tax increases, are racist or Nazi. So everything, everything they don't like is racist or Nazi. It's so predictable and terrible, and the Democrats don't like people like Kirsten Gillibrand either. And I say either because I just assume everyone in this audience already doesn't like her. But they don't like her because she blurts it out. She's not savvy enough to realize how stupid she's going to look saying something like this.
She's like a female Beto.
Yeah, she's like a female Beto. Yeah, she's kind of in that category. And you're like, oh yeah, dang right, we're going to take the AR-15s. Oh, thank you. I mean, okay, thank you.
They were all in the background going,
no.
Shush. Yeah.
Though they said shush and then they made them like guns are. So I don't know. I mean, they obviously agree with all these things. I mean, they don't care if it's infrastructure or not. They just know that if the headline is infrastructure bill, it's a lot easier to justify multiple trillions of dollars. They don't care about it being infrastructure. We had an infrastructure bill under Obama that was supposed to pay for all this crap. We've been spending all this money all this time. The money continues to be spent. It's not like we only spend money when there's an infrastructure bill. There's all this money constantly being spent on infrastructure. They just want trillions of dollars extra, and they're putting it under the banner of infrastructure because it tests well, although it's really just a long laundry list of left-leaning priorities.
Which I think, Pat, the reason why she tweeted this out was because the bill has been criticized for being labeled an infrastructure bill. And there's not a lot of it is actual infrastructure when you look at it.
A full 5% is.
Oh.
A full 5%.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive that they managed to do 5% of an infrastructure bill on infrastructure.
It's better than 1%.
It is better than 1.
5 times
and
as good.
2.
Yes.
And 3.
Wow, you're right.
And 4.
Okay.
But not better than 5.
No, same as 5.
It is 5. It's the same as 5.
Did you guys see, what's his name? Pete Buttigieg, when he got busted
on the bike?
Trying to ride the bike, and he was parked
so
behind the corner in the big giant gas guzzling Suburban.
And he wanted it to look like he biked all the way from home or whatever, and he biked like half a block.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't even see this. No.
Oh, somebody was filming him while he was doing it, while they took the bike out of the SUV and set him up in it, and he put on his little helmet.
It was just a block.
Yeah, here it is.
It's so great.
So they took it off of the Suburban, or whatever car this is. Is this stupid reflector in the middle of the day?
And they have no idea somebody's filming them behind the trees.
No, he's getting ready.
How great is that? And then in a minute here, he's going to bike off to work.
And he's just a block away from work?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is the greatest clip of all time.
I know, I love it. I love it.
See, people say social media is not good, but then you get moments like this. And
yes.
That
makes it all
what
worthwhile.
I love probably the most about this clip is that it takes 3 other grown men just to get him on a bike.
He is a little child.
No, 4. Yeah, I mean, how many grown men does it take to get Pete Buttigieg
What is his defense on this? This is incredible. I don't know. I know this is not the topic.
I haven't heard I don't think they've offered any
Just
defense.
ignore it.
There he goes. There he goes.
And there he goes.
Oh, that's so cute. I bet he has one of those little bells. Ching-a-ting-a-ting.
Is he really that close to work, though? That's the thing.
Yes.
It's like a block. They drove to like a block away.
Oh,
it's so awesome.
I like this way too much.
Yeah.
This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
That's great.
I really... This is all I care about now. You have totally derailed me. I'm changing up the show tonight. No gun talk. We're going all into Buttigieg tonight. This is unbelievable.
Good stuff.
I know, it really is. So what do you guys think about their proposal to they're like, we're not raising taxes on anyone except the ultra rich people, but also we're going to tax you by the mile that you drive?
Oh.
Yeah, the mile that you drive thing is first of all, they made all these tables that came out in the media, and they're like, would you pay more under the per mile tax? And they went through how if you were this many miles and this many miles per gallon, would you pay more? And actually, what it winds up turning out to be is if you have a gas guzzling car, you're actually going to do considerably better under this, which makes it clear what's going to happen. They're just going to use both taxes.
Right.
It's not going to be the gas tax or the mileage tax. It's going to be the gas tax and the mileage tax. They'll just both stay, because they're not going to incentivize you to buy a gas guzzler, which is basically what would happen under this policy. I think obviously it's a terrible policy. It should go away. So should the gas tax, by the way. Hey, just get rid of all of it while we're there. But it's going to be, you could tell that they're going to be able to raise multiple trillions of dollars of taxes. They're going to do this one way or the other. It's a real... it's a pretty arduous thing
Yeah.
to be able to tax by the mile. It's, you know, I mean, it is. You've got to monitor.
Right.
There's
Who's
all
gonna
sorts
enforce
of
that?
Yeah, very difficult
Yeah.
to do. I mean, it has been done in the world, so it's not impossible. The technology is certainly available to do it, but the American people are not going to be particularly comfortable with that. I guess they could just have you on your tax form every year write down how many miles are on your car and try to do it that way and collect. And some people would probably pay attention to that.
Some people
my car,
might.
unfortunately, was lost in a terrible boating accident.
Oh, no.
Yes.
With your guns?
Yes, I had my car.
my God,
I
that
was
sounds
moving
horrible.
my car and my guns across a river, and
On a boat?
sunk.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow.
I don't have any of
But
them
you
anymore.
escaped unscathed. That's
Yeah,
good.
you know.
That's good.
He's a really good swimmer.
You know what? Not emotionally, Pat.
Oh, okay.
Not emotionally.
The scars exist.
Yes.
To this day.
To this day,
Yeah.
as you can tell.
I can tell. I can
Oh
tell.
my gosh. All right, we've got
You're right.
more to
Okay.
come. I think Stu needs a minute. Stu needs a minute
All
to
right.
just compose himself. So let me tell you about Start Mail before we go to break. Free email services like Gmail and Yahoo are not free. You know, we were talking earlier about all these places stealing your all of your information, your privacy. And since those companies have access to every email you send and receive, big tech, they're sending all of your data, including your emails, to the highest bidder. That is why we use Start Mail to secure our email. If you're like, really, honestly, you go to Gmail and you're like, why are they giving me ads for all of those things that I bought online on Amazon? It didn't have anything to do with my Gmail. They are looking through all of your emails, all right? StartMail will keep your email private. Every email is encrypted, even if the recipient doesn't use encryption, which is huge. Big tech cannot read, scan, analyze, or sell your personal information ever. Big Brother is not going to be able to snoop around in your email, which we know they're doing, all right? They are going to prevent government agencies from spying on you. With StartMail, deleted means deleted. When you delete an email, it is gone forever. They also, by the way, use their own servers, not Amazon's, so they're not going to be able to pull StartMail just poof out of thin air. They're gone, like probably Parler. So StartMail is also backed by the most stringent privacy laws in the world. You will get unlimited anonymous aliases. This feature protects your main email address from spam and phishing attacks. All right, you got to try StartMail. Go to startmail.com/Y. It is startmail.com/Y. You'll get 50% off of your first year when you sign up at startmail.com/Y. Back in a minute. All right, U.S. Customs and Border Protect reported a record number of illegal immigrants taken into custody at the border in March. So this is the most in nearly 2 decades, according to their official release. This includes 19,000 child migrants, the largest monthly number ever recorded. And if we're looking at this chart right here. For those of you who are listening on audio, you gotta tune in so that you can see all of these things that we're showing. So the blue line is 2021, and CBP actually had to redo the chart to stretch the y-axis because it was. So
wow.
Yeah,
It's nuts.
it is incredible. It's almost like when you tell people, if you make it in, we're gonna just let you in and give you all this free stuff.
You'll be a citizen.
You see an influx of people trying to make it in.
What a
It's almost
surprise.
like that.
If you were to incentivize a certain behavior, you may get more of that behavior?
I mean, it's never been proven. It's just a weird
So you're just
theory
throwing it
that-
out there. I just want to make sure that's not part of the news story, right?
Oh, no.
Okay.
This is what I call the magnet theory.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Magnet theory. So you think that people are made of metal? I don't even so yeah, I mean, you look at that chart, it looks like, Andrew Cuomo's COVID chart in nursing homes from March and April. It's basically a straight line up, and it's pretty scary. I mean, it's interesting to look at it, and it just confirms exactly what we've been talking about. This is a crisis for the country. Is it a crisis? We talked about this on radio today. Is it a crisis for Joe Biden? I mean, look, they wanted this to happen. They wanted these people here. They wanted these borders open. The fact that they have to deal with a little bit of a hassle as they get all these things set up is a minor inconvenience on a wonderful storyline for them. They don't see it as a crisis. It's why, it really challenge is a better word for them to be using, because that's what they see it. Yes, there's a challenge with a bunch of people at the border at the same time, and it's kind of a pain because we told everybody we're going to give them citizenship in the first 100 days, or we were going to come up with a plan. So you better be here, by 100 days to make sure you're grandfathered into that. Everyone understands this, so I can see why it's a challenge right now. But for them, it's not a crisis. It's important to understand this is part of the plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I think, a lot of what conservatives have been saying this whole time, under Trump, under Obama, for a very long time, is the problem at the border, or one of many problems, is that all of these children are coming in, they can be trafficked, they can be sexually abused. Now we're seeing Texas officials are concerned. I know Governor Abbott has been looking into this about conditions at Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, that there are a bunch of allegations of sexual assault in this temporary shelter where they are housing the children.
Right. This is one of the reasons they separate the children from the adults.
Yeah.
Because there's some bad people coming across the border with these kids, and a lot of them are the coyotes themselves. Yeah. The coyotes are known to have raped women on the way here and abused children. They're not, they're not upstanding citizens.
You're saying coyotes are not, they're
coyotes
criminals?
Are not. And I'm not talking about the howling kind that's in my neighborhood at night.
You do need to clarify.
Yes, I'm not talking about coyotes, the animals. I'm talking about coyotes, the human smugglers, and generally really bad people. And they make a lot of money doing this. And so they tell people all the time, Joe Biden wants you there. Joe Biden said you can come. And they really believe it. And so they try. Which
is why they wear those shirts. I mean, we saw not that long ago the shirt, the Biden-Harris shirts, please let us in. Yeah. Which, by the way, I didn't realize that they had such good printing, T-shirt printing companies in Mexico that they could just
screen printing on demand in Mexico. It really works well. It's weird how it happens, but it does. Honduras, real hotbed for on-demand screen printing.
And all along the Caravan Trail, you can get really beautiful screen printing done for your T-shirts.
How did they keep the shirts so white? They were very white, did you notice?
I did notice
when you're walking
that,
from Honduras to the United States.
You'd think there'd be a little dust or dirt.
You would think.
Yeah.
Well, they do typically carry their washing machine and dryer with them on the journey, the 1,300-mile journey. They just strap their washing machine and dryer on. And then they bring it up. And then if you go 2 miles into Mexico, just nonstop washer and dryers everywhere left there, just so they can remain nice and clean. Make a good impression. It's the first impression is very important.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Let's look.
That's a little known fact.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that.
People don't know.
You know what, guys? That's why we're here. The News and Why It Matters, giving you the real news you could use. Let's go to Jen Psaki, who was asked about Kamala Harris, who Biden, by the way, said, I'm just making her in charge of the border. She's just going to be in charge of the border, even though she can't bother to even visit the border. She was asked, Psaki was asked, why Kamala Harris was visiting a Chicago bakery, but not the southern border. Here is what good old Jen had to say.
Immigration and the border, as we've discussed here today, Vice President Harris has been put in charge of addressing the root causes of the border crisis. Last Tuesday, she spoke with Guatemala's president, but she hasn't visited the border or Central America or spoken with leaders of El Salvador or Honduras. She was traveling this week, took time to visit a bakery in Chicago. I'm wondering, is she still working on this? And can you address the perception that she's kind of quietly backing off while Secretary Mayorkas is pursuing some Trump-era policies, such as potentially building new border barriers and potentially prosecuting people who illegally cross multiple times?
There was a whole lot packed in there. So let me just see what I can do here. First, I would say the vice president was visiting Chicago actually to talk about COVID and the importance of communities getting the vaccine when it's available and accessible to them. And so while she was there, like many Americans, she got a snack. I think she's allowed to do that. But she was there to talk about COVID and play a role, as she's playing a significant role on our efforts to address vaccine hesitancy, communicate with the public about how we can do this, and it's imperative to get the vaccine when it's available. Second, I would say that yesterday, and this is actually a statement put out by her team, USAID announced the deployment of a DART team. We only have these in a couple of places in the world, so this is fairly significant, to respond to urgent humanitarian needs in Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador.
Wow. And then, by the way, she said, I don't have an update on when she'll travel. I'm sure it will be soon. But I want to say it's good that she is so focused on COVID, so much so that they are just letting COVID positive illegal immigrants just come in through our border.
Yeah.
That's good if you're really focused on COVID.
The good thing is nobody has COVID, though, in Mexico or Central and South America.
Oh, there's no problem.
So there's no
Yeah.
problem at all
No.
with those people who might be crossing our border
We should have
illegally.
just taken their advice, really, on how they
right.
handled COVID. 'Cause
Yeah.
it just disappeared.
It's
Yeah.
gone well down there.
Going really well.
Yeah, no, it's Mexico City is the single worst city in the world when it comes to
For
COVID
COVID.
rates. Minor.
It was
thing.
at 40% positive
for a very long
for a
time.
while.
Yeah.
Incredible.
40%.
Yeah, it's still the tests they did like this week were still over 20% positive for the entire country. And
That's
this has
unreal.
been, and a lot of that's just because they're not doing a lot of tests. People are just,
Yeah.
there's just people going out and that's just spreading around wherever it goes, and that's kind of what they're doing. They don't have the resources as maybe some other countries. It's somewhat understandable. But I mean, you go down even further south, it gets even uglier. I mean, Brazil is an absolute catastrophe right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the countries in between are not doing so well. So that is actually it would be a logical reason for them to maintain the Trump policies that were put in to stop this exact thing from happening.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of that, they decided to cancel it because that's what they signaled to their voters, and they wanted to show up for their base, and now we have this massive problem on our hands.
Can we just take a moment, though, and bask in the glow of a reporter asking Jen Psaki another tough question?
I know, and
Yeah.
it wasn't Peter Ducey.
No.
It was
No.
New York Post, Stephen Nielsen.
Oh, okay.
Stephen
New York
Nelson,
Post,
sorry.
But still.
Still.
Still good.
I mean,
I know.
they're pissed because they don't have access.
Yep.
Now you've messed with them.
Right.
So they're not providing the cover that they were.
Yeah.
It's great.
I love it. It's great,
great.
to see. We're here for it. All right, we've got more to come, but we got to take a break. Back in a minute.
I got that German chocolate cake in. I mean, I don't care about COVID. I don't care about the border. I get that cake.
And she did.
I'm sure you guys will be very thrilled to hear that Lena Dunham has actually announced a new plus-size clothing line.
Finally.
So, yes, I mean,
Stu and I have been talking about this for
Have
years.
you?
When is Lena Dunham going to release a plus-size clothing line?
because she's really who you think of when you think of like fashion forward,
Oh, yeah.
trend setting.
Right.
I will say I'm just happy she's
Glamorous.
wearing clothing because for a while that wasn't happening, and that was not a positive era
And
of
she
any
was
of our
demanding
lives.
that everybody like it.
Yeah,
And she not wear
they
clothes.
were saying it was
too.
it was awful if people didn't like her being naked.
Sorry,
And it's
I-
like that's
No,
why
I
I
don't have
fully
to.
support her clothing venture. Please, more clothing, more layers,
Yes.
more fabric.
Yes.
Whatever you can come up with.
Open up a tent company and wear it.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I'm not criticizing this at all.
So, well, this is great because her own people are criticizing her for not being inclusive enough because, so they've got, I think, just 5 pieces to start. And she's got clothing from designers like Mara Hoffman, Dolce & Gabbana, and they're actually pretty expensive, not for like your average American. It ranges from $98 to $298. But the 5 pieces are available in sizes 14 to size 26. They were very proud of that. But the woke critics are pissed because it stops at size 26.
So
and that
what-
is not large enough.
How
you need it larger. It's
should
not
have been,
inclusive.
do we know?
Who's to say, Pat? Who's to
Yeah, right,
say
right.
that you just should go just ever expanding, just make it in all different sizes, material, whatever. They're very mad and they say that it's tone deaf. Her efforts are tone deaf because she stops at size 26.
So
Don't you?
ridiculous. You just can't please people anymore.
It is, but don't you love to
Yes,
see it
I do.
to
I
Lena
love it
Dunham?
when liberals eat their own.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because they're creating this world, like the standard.
Yeah.
You look at, the MLB All-Star Game. You look at all of these. Like you are creating a standard that nobody can live up to. Nobody can live up to these
Yeah.
standards, including them, which was why they moved it to freaking Colorado.
Which, of course, has many of the same
Right.
laws. David Harsanyi wrote a great piece about this. He's from Colorado, and he listed off all the laws that are just the same.
So great.
Or worse
Yeah.
than Georgia. It's all so
Except
silly.
they're taking money, millions of dollars from black-owned businesses in Georgia and giving it to a bunch of white people in Colorado.
Yes.
So that's good.
I mean, it's the move.
Yeah.
It's a move that David Duke, were he the
Right.
commissioner of Major League Baseball, would think was a great move. That we can say.
They went from a state that's 30-some% black to a state that's 4% black.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, I would call
It
that
worked out well.
super white.
Uh-huh.
Like
Pretty white.
Pretty white.
Like
It's pretty white.
pasty
There's a lot of
white, I would say.
Caspers in Colorado. So,
All right, so really quickly, Hunter Biden. I don't get this Hunter Biden thing because I thought he was just going to kind of quietly disappear into the scenes, but he keeps popping up in the news because he's written this memoir and he's being interviewed by CBS. He's talking about how he accidentally tried to, smoke Parmesan cheese instead of crack. which is...
That actually sounds interesting to me. I'm not really into the crack thing, but I would smoke some Parmesan.
Would you? Well, you let us know how that works out for you.
Sounds delicious.
I don't. Hunter didn't seem to like it very much, but he now is apparently he seems to justify in this memoir his Ukrainian paycheck by saying that he was fighting Putin, who, as we know, is Trump's buddy. So he says in his book, Burisma was opposed to the direct interests of the most dangerous person in the world, Vladimir Putin. And if I was going to pick a side, and if I was going to get paid to pick a side, I'd choose the same way again rather than back the person President Trump has sided with.
Wow, hero springs to mind, doesn't it?
Yes,
hero.
yes. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
It's incredible to hear him. And then, of course, with the laptop, he's like, I mean, I could have turned it in. Who knows? The Russians could have gotten it and planted stuff on there. Who's really to say?
Well, the Daily Mail seems to be able to say, because they seem to have the entire laptop and all of its contents and all of its text messages for multiple years. And they highlighted a bunch of them in some of the reporting today. They have lots of photos, some of them Hunter Biden with multiple prostitutes at the same time. It goes through lots of...
Did he have those same photos in his new book?
I don't think so.
With like some picture pages?
Wasn't quite a tell-all. But really, your point is great here in that, like, there's no reason for him to be releasing a book. He should be hiding.
I don't get it.
Like, this is a time, you've made all this money.
No shit.
Your dad is president of the United States. It's almost as if he hates him. I mean, seriously.
Seriously.
Because could you do anything more damaging than release a tell-all book right now and go on TV and have to talk about all this stuff after they already successfully suppressed this news?
Right.
The media is like, what can we do here? We're trying to help. We got rid of this completely, and now you want interviews? So, you go through the stuff they have in the Daily Mail, which is not only about him and being a terrible person, but also text messages about really strange family stuff. Honestly, no one's going to like this analysis, but like you read it and you feel almost bad for Joe Biden.
You bastard.
Who just has I know, I got to say, no one wants to hear that. I understand it. But he just seems like a father who has a kid who's completely out of control. And I really do believe that a lot of the corruption around Joe Biden, at least part of it, is almost him internally thinking he's being a good dad.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's bailing his kid out of this situation.
Which is just
after
enabling
situation.
him.
And that doesn't
Which is still a crime.
Right.
But still a crime. And and actually is a terrible thing to do as a father, because you're only making it worse and you're only leading to what eventually happened. But you can almost feel him just crushed. I mean, look, the guy's had a terrible family life for a very long time, going back to the accident and now his son Beau, which seems to be the only one he mostly talks about. Then, Hunter is a complete disaster, going around and forgetting he's impregnated strippers all around the nation.
Well, I mean, come on.
Who among
don't
us?
Don't hold him to such a high standard, Stu.
How many strippers have we all impregnated and then not remembered?
Please.
I mean,
every weekend for me. I don't know.
Count them up. You carry the one.
You're still, wow.
17, 20.
Okay, he's going to take a while, so we got to go to break.
Maybe get back to it.
We'll be back. Yeah, please.
She was really more of an exotic dancer than a stripper.
Hey, don't forget, if you have not yet gone to wherever you get your audio podcast, subscribe, rate, and review the news and why it matters. You may see your review read live on air. Today we have one from AK Hart 3, who says the only show for accurate news is The News and Why It Matters. 5 stars. The News and Why It Matters cast are daily guests in our home. We enjoy Sarah's insight and have purchased almost every product she endorses. Thanks. However, there is not enough Pat and Stu. We miss their old show, even if Jeffy's in it, and would like it if they brought it back. Hashtag restore the Pat and Stu verse.
Well, you got a lot of Pat and Stu this week on the radio show, if you happen to be a fan there.
Maybe even a little too much Pat and Stu.
It's certainly too much Jeffy. We had Jeffy on mistakenly one day, and that was sad.
You should have learned your lesson by now, guys.
Yeah.
He just wanders in. He smells food and he comes in.
And then one more really quickly from Mark Humby. I was going to give you 5 stars. I listen to this great podcast every day. I was going to give it 5 freaking stars, but Pat and Stu praise the mullet ban in Australia. By the way, Pat, women can have mullets, the haircut of the gods. Oops, I just gave you 5 stars anyway. So
that's great.
It's good that your criticism of the mullet didn't get us less stars.
I mean, this is really, we had the reviews hitting all 3 points here today. 5 stars, praising Pat and Stu, saying bad things about Jeffy.
Yes.
Those are the 3 main things.
If you want to have your review read live on air,
Yes.
you probably should incorporate all of those 3 things, and it's almost a guarantee that it's going to get read. So there you go. So make sure that you do that. Also subscribe to Blaze TV while you're at it. If you enjoy what we do, if you believe in it, make sure you do that at blazetv.com. We'll see you tomorrow.